webinar. My name is Jennifer Bogue, and I coordinate field training for the National Digital Car Seat Check Form, or the NDCF. I'm so glad that you are taking the time to join us today, and we're all a little sad that we didn't get to see everybody at the Lifesavers Conference in lieu of everything that's happening across the country. We thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to be able to provide you with some information that we had planned on sharing at the Lifesavers Conference. So we are happy to have you here. We hope that you are all home and safe in your homes and listening to the webinar. So thank you so much again for taking the time to be here. We do have a full hour of detailed information that we're going to be sharing with you. And today you're going to hear from some NDCF content experts and a few of our partners who will show you how they're using the NDCF to enhance their program. On the line today, I have Joe Powell from Tennessee Tech University iCube. I have Adele Paulson from Westat, from Good Baby International, Jennifer Pelkey from Toyota, Angela Knutson from AAA, and Amy Artuso with the National Safety Council. Here are the objectives for the webinar today, and I'll read those quickly. The first objective is describe how child restraint and vehicle manufacturers are using NDCF data to track trends and identify patterns of misuse. The next one is to explain innovative ways data collection is enhancing child passenger safety programs locally and nationally. The next one is to identify ways in which the NDCF is used to record overall misuse rates, most common errors by CRS type, and other findings of interest. And finally, to summarize 3 ways in which the NDCF can be used in the field to gather seat check data. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive right in to our program partnerships. This resource is being provided to you free of charge to all certified child passenger safety technicians, and it's a partnership between the National Safety Council, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Tennessee Tech University iCube, AAA, the National Child Passenger Safety Board, and Westat. And these partnerships are transforming the way that child passenger safety technicians, program managers, Indian Health Service areas, and state coordinators across the country monitor seat check activity, how we're tracking our programming efforts, and collecting and reporting important data sets, which is also then enhancing the messaging and the education that we're providing to our families. So let's take a look at the common trends that we're seeing. Our current data indicates that we have over 2,000 registered users in all 50 states, and technicians to date have entered in over 24,000 seat checks. And we really continue organically, and we fully expect that these numbers will continue to trend upwards as we have more technicians seeing the benefits of the digital check form. And we're just beginning to see these benefits in the field, and we're excited to see how many technicians are taking advantage of this free resource. As you'll hear later on in our presentation today, Sarah Haverstick and Jennifer Pelkey, some of our manufacturers that will be presenting, will be talking about how they're using the NDCF data to track trends and identify patterns of misuse that can ultimately result in changes to enhancing their product effectiveness. So when we look at our standardized data collection, once technicians become familiar with the digital platform, it can shorten the amount of time that it takes us to complete a car seat check. It's a 5-step process, which means that technicians can then spend more time educating families. And the digital check form also provides technicians with a link to current car seat and vehicle recalls. So you'll be able to identify those recalls in real time, and we don't have to worry about having a paper copy of a check form with us so long as you have access to the internet or to Wi-Fi. So when we look at our data access, who has access to the data that's being submitted into the NDCF? As a technician, individual technicians have access to all of the data that's within their account. So once you've established an account, it's been approved, that as a technician, you would have access to all of the data that your technician ID number is associated with. Program leads have access to all of the data that is submitted with their agency information. So any program lead that wants to track what their technicians are doing out in the field, maybe you have multiple events happening around an area or you serve a wide area, you're able to track what those technicians are doing that are associated with that agency or organization. Our vehicle and child restraint manufacturers have access to all of the specific data related to their products. And then state coordinators and Indian Health Service areas, the 12 IHS areas, have access to all of the data that's collected within their state or within their IHS area. So when we look at some of our supporting documents and resources, we are working diligently on creating some documents for virtual seat checks. We've gotten a lot of feedback recently in light of everything that's happening across the country. We still recognize that we need to be able to provide education and resources to our families. So what are some options for us out in the field to be able to do that without having that that face-to-face contact with that family? So we have gotten a lot of feedback from technicians in the field that are looking for ways to provide virtual seat checks. And we recognize that there are a lot of other programs out there that have developed guidelines and guidance documents. We have, through the National Digital Car Seat Check Form, have also developed some guidelines for using the NDCF to perform those virtual seat checks. And so that information is posted on the cpsboard.org website. We have some supporting documents for you to be able to utilize the NDCF when you're working with a family through a virtual seat check. So we're really proud of the work that we've done in a relatively short amount of time to be able to provide you with additional resources. Additionally, the NDCF has been introduced into the new CPS technician curriculum, and we also have supporting documents that are available to instructors that will provide guidance on ways to incorporate the NDCF into those technician trainings. Lastly, we also have the opportunity to provide technicians with some gently used tablets and handy holders that were graciously donated by Westat to provide technicians who maybe otherwise can't afford a tablet to be able to perform those seat checks out in the field, or you have a program that is looking for access to some tablets. We do have a limited number of tablets available. We will be providing you at the end of the webinar with a link, an application for you to fill out. So if that's something that you or your program may be interested in, we do have an application process for those. And again, we have a limited number of tablets, but we are so thankful for Westat's contribution to supporting the National Digital Car Seat Check Form. So thank you to them. That's all I have right now. Now I'm going to turn it over to Joe Powell from Tennessee Tech, who is going to share work that they're doing out in the when it pertains to the National Digital Car Seat Check Form. So I'm going to read Joe's bio while he's getting his screen set up. Joe has been with Tennessee Tech Business Media Center IQ since November 2011 and is currently Associate Director of Initiatives. He has served on Tennessee's Motorcycle Safety Task Force, Tennessee's Occupant Protection Task Force, and has been a CPS technician since 2014. He has been working with NDCF since its inception at the 2017 Lifesavers Conference. Joe graduated with a master's degree in business administration from Tennessee Tech University and a bachelor's degree from East Tennessee State University. So welcome, Joe. Joe, I'm not sure that we can hear you. Yep, we can hear you now.
Now? Okay. Sorry, I think I got muted. Okay, can you see my screen now too?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So my name is Joe Powell. Julie's on the call as well, so we've been working with the National Digital Car Seat Check Form since its inception, and so I'm just going to briefly talk through some of the technical things around it, and then there might be a little time for questions at the end or at the very end of the webinar, but if not, you can send us an email, and I'll have my email at the end of the presentation. But yeah, so the car seat check form website is carseatcheckform.org. You can go there right now as you're listening to the webinar or anything. But it is a web-based platform first, and so you have three options when you're filling out the car seat check. We've developed a paper PDF form that you can use if you still want to use a paper form. There's the web version that you can use if you have a tablet with a data connection. And then we've also developed a free app that you can use with Android, iOS, or Amazon. So Kindles, iPads, and then pretty much any Android device, Google, Nexus, Pixels, all that kind of stuff. So all of it's free. You can download it. You can use the apps without a data connection. Oh, sorry. Someone say something? Oh, okay. So you can use the apps without a data connection, and you can download them. You'll download them. You'll have to have some data connection to initially download them, and then once you download them, you'll log in with your account, and then you should have should populate the app, and then you should be good to use it. Once you go through it, it's user-friendly. You can use it whichever way you want. Really, it's just giving the technicians a way, and whoever the agency heads are, a way of sort of getting access to their data and be able to see what kind of checks they're doing, what they're seeing in their areas, and things like that. So it's all up to you. If you guys want to keep using a paper form, go for it. If you want to try and use the app, go free. Devices, so again, like I sort of touched on, it's available for pretty much any device. We recommend an operating system 8+, so iOS 8+, or Android 8+, and then Amazon Kindle is sort of based off Android, so it will work with those as well. But you can use it on Android tablets, iPads, iPads Pros, cell phone devices. It works on those, Mac, Apple, Windows desktop. Data plan concerns, so sort of like I touched on, you can use it with Wi-Fi if you want, or you can put it in airplane mode and it won't use any data whatsoever. So you will need, of course, Wi-Fi to initially download the app and initially log in, but then after that, you can put it on airplane mode, not use data. You don't need to bring a hotspot out to the event or anything like that. Data security, so we use, initially when we were developing this platform to use, we got the services of a company called Acquia. We used a HIPAA-compliant server to work with health departments and hospitals if it needs to be. Initially, when we started this, we had personally identifiable information on it. It's been removed, but we've kept all the same security options as the HIPAA-compliant or GDPR-compliant server. So there's no PII, personally identifiable information, actually on the server anywhere, but it's still just as secure as if it was housing all that PII. So secure, there's daily backups, so if anything happens, whatever that may be, it would. And then there's also a way for you to practice with training. So once you go in and set up an account, usually we'll approve you within 1 to 2 days. You can go in, all you need is your certification card. Just attach either a picture or a PDF of that onto your account, and then we'll look at it, make sure you're not lying to us, approve you, and then you get access to it. And so once you get in, there's certain options to create a check form, download reports, download some PDFs of how to use it and things. But if you want to do some test evals without actually like putting in real information or real data, under state, there is a training option. And so this is on the back end, this is how the system sorts all the data. So depending on what state you select, that information will go to the state coordinator through NHTSA, and so whoever that is, they'll have access to that state information. But if you select training, then everyone knows it's not a real check, and you can just fool around with it. And then support, so question about setting up your own account, you can find your CPS Tech card at cert.safekids.org. Once you're there, you can download a copy of it, take a picture with your cell phone even, anything works, and then you'll attach it to the account like I was talking about. So we'll confirm your tech ID, make sure your expiration date. Once every 2 years, you will need to either send us an email or there's a form on there to actually upload your new certification card. If you let your certification lapse, you will be blocked on the system. None of your data will be removed or anything like that, but you will be blocked until you provide us with a new certification card. So that's the main account issues that we get is just people being blocked from not uploading their new cards. So every 2 years, just remember it doesn't tie in directly to Safe Kids database, so we will need a copy of your certification card. And then web platform update, app update. So this is new. You guys are the first ones hearing about this, but there's a form on the website to actually supply feedback to the form. So if you feel like there's a question that needs to be added or removed or different verbiage or anything like that, all of it is reviewed and it's all taken to the National Child Passenger Safety Board. So they'll actually go through, review everything, figure out which questions are going to be added, what needs more answers, and things like that. And so these are just a few of the things that are going to be updated with the new update. And so it'll be updated on the PDF will be updated, the web version will be updated, all 3 apps will be updated as well. But we found some inconsistencies among the paper form and the platforms, just like where they're listed and stuff like that. So those will be fixed. We're moving the caregiver donation box to page 5 because that's where the caregiver is actually sort of filling out that part of the check. So it was awkwardly on page 4. So you sort of had to hand the device to the caregiver and then take it back at the end. So that's going to be moved just for ease of use. There's going to be adding a question to indicate whether age, height, and weight were appropriate for the car seat initially when they come in. So that'll give us an idea of are they coming in with the right seat initially. And then right now, the vehicle make, model, and year are all text boxes, and so a lot of spelling errors and things. So with the new update, we're also going to add drop downs for that, so you'll be able to select it and base it off the year. And then that'll also help vehicle manufacturers be able to run reports based on their certain vehicle types, and that way we don't have to clean the data every time we send it to them. And then we're working with Westat to actually Adele will talk about this later, but working to clean up some of the data exports and create a data dictionary. So when you guys, right now, everyone has access to their own reports and they can download a CSV file of all the information. And so we're just going to sort of streamline that process and make it a little more easier for everyone to understand versus just a mess of Excel document. And then we're working on adding a virtual check option, especially in this time frame with COVID and everything. A virtual check option to just sort of give you guys the option of if you want to do virtual car seat checks, it gives you the option of sort of getting through it and being able to document which ones are virtual and things. And then I think that's it. Here's my email. So if you have any questions, technically, if you want any of this, need any of this in writing in an email, feel free to send me an email at info@carseatcheckform.org. We'll respond as soon as we can and get you all the information that you need to, if you want to start using it, if you want to talk through some options available to you, anything like that, feel free and we can talk about it. But that's all I have, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you, Joe. We are going to get set up now for Adele's presentation. So if you'll give me just a second, I'll introduce Adele and then I'll turn it over to her. Adele is the Senior Study Director with Westat's Center for Transportation Technology and Safety Research. For over 20 years, Adele has researched traffic safety, and she specializes in large-scale data collection efforts focused on occupant protection. Adele manages the National Occupant Protection Use Survey, also known as NOPUS, on behalf of NHTSA. For over 10 years, Adele has been researching child occupant protection issues and has also been a certified CPS technician, regularly volunteering as a senior checker with Safe Kids Montgomery County, Maryland. Most recently, Adele has begun work to help clean and analyze the National Digital Car Seat Check Form data. Welcome, Adele.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you all for having me here today. I'm sincerely excited to talk to all of you about Westat's contributions to this important work. So before I jump in, everybody can hear me okay? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I'd like to quickly introduce you all to Westat and how we got involved with this program. I'll review how we are going to use the NDCF data to help answer your questions and help support car seat programs. I'm going to review how we'll be processing the data and what we'll ultimately provide to all the NDCF users. I'll show you some of our initial results, and I'll also review future plans and how you can help us. So about a year ago at Lifesavers 2019, my Westat colleagues and I attended a pre-conference workshop entitled National Digital Car Seat Check Form Workshop. I sat in the audience and I was completely blown away by the potential of the digitization of the car seat check data and what it could mean for car seat programs. The fact that this team of the National Safety Council, Tennessee Tech, AAA, NHTSA, and the National Child Passenger Safety Board had developed and fielded a standardized electronic form that's freely available to CPSTs around the U.S. was simply groundbreaking to me. I immediately saw that this program presents an unprecedented opportunity to develop a nationwide database of information related to child passenger safety that could be used to truly and positively impact children. So after the session, I pretty much ran up to the whole NDCF team and begged for Westat to become part of the team. I explained that for years I've been looking for a way to take my research background and use it to help car seat programs. I work for Westat, which is an employee-owned research firm known for the quality of our professional staff, covering a broad range of research expertise, including statistical design, survey research, and program evaluation. We have a staff that totals about more than 1,900 people. Westat's been in business since 1963 and has grown steadily by serving federal and local government agencies, private businesses, and other clients. Westat was founded by statisticians and continues to put an emphasis on providing data, analysis, and insight that informs our clients' efforts to improve lives. Next slide, please. What makes Westat unique among research firms is the emphasis on statistics. I've worked closely with statisticians for most of my career, but it took me a long time to fully appreciate the skills and talents they provide. First of all, not all statisticians are the same, so I like to use the analogy of the medical field to help explain. So let's start with someone like me. I have a psychology degree, I've taken a few stats classes, and can conduct some basic analysis, so I consider myself the equivalent of a person certified in first aid or CPR. At Westat, we have many PhD statisticians that would be the equivalent of general practitioners or family doctors. Additionally, we have statisticians that are the equivalent of cardiac specialists and neurosurgeons who are very highly specialized. In the statistical world, that equates to people with specific degrees and training to conduct sampling and weighting, survey design, data management, data science, and program evaluation. Westat's Center for Transportation Technology and Safety Research is another important department within the company, and that's where I've worked for over 20 years. Our staff is composed of over 30 professionals and includes engineers, survey research specialists, GIS specialists, programmers, and psychologists. Within Westat Center for Transportation, there are 4 of us that are certified techs. As transportation researchers, we all understood the risks to children, but becoming techs gave us the tools to go out into the community and help reduce those risks, and we regularly volunteer with Safe Kids. Additionally, all 4 of us work on a number of child passenger safety studies. So, as I sat in the audience last year at Lifesavers, I realized I had found a program that could really benefit from our research experience, understanding of CPS issues, and specially trained statisticians, that together we could fully leverage the data to provide new insights into child passenger safety. So using sophisticated analysis, we will leverage the data to improve the efficacy of car seat programs, help guide CRS and vehicle design, provide valuable insights into the overall misuse of CRSs, and support the implementation of effective safety legislation. Westat officially became a member of the NDCF team on October 1st, 2019, and we have a lot planned for our first year. We're going to complete 3 major tasks. We're going to clean and prepare the data for analysis. Then we'll analyze the data. And finally, we'll prepare a tool for data visualization and to provide easy access to the results. As with any data set, before the data analysis occurs, we'll take several steps to clean the data. These steps will create a data file that is ready for analysis in a statistical software package, and we're just about done with this process now. We're executing these steps within statistical programs to allow for easy and automatic reprocessing of the data. So data cleaning involves cleaning records to remove any duplicates, renaming and recoding variables, deriving new variables, and imputing missing data. So as Joe mentioned, we have been working to clean up the vehicle make variable, as you can see kind of from this list on the side here, that there are several cases of misspellings as well as incorrect information, which in this case, sometimes people were entering the model instead of the make. So these are the types of issues we will resolve with our data cleaning, and like we've already done, we'll work with the rest of the NDCF team to make the NDCF better and hopefully reduce some of these errors. Once the data is clean, we're going to undertake analysis. The analysis will answer research questions that cover 4 main topic areas: program effectiveness, educational messaging, car seat design, and vehicle design. So in the next slides, I'm going to go over these questions. An obvious priority of the analysis is to examine the effectiveness of car seat check programs. Therefore, we'll answer questions related to the population of parents using or not using car seat checks and whether there are reductions in misuse. We'll also provide feedback on how car seat programs can better target their educational messaging. We'll analyze the data to pinpoint the most common types of car seat installation and use errors. The NDCF also provides an opportunity to identify car seat design features that help or hinder proper installation, as well as the types of car seats that are easiest or hardest for parents to use. Once analyzed, we hope this data will prove useful to car seat manufacturers as they work to design their products. We'll also look at the data to help with vehicle design features. For the first year, we'll determine if vehicle seating position impacts the number and type of installation errors. We'll also look at whether there are vehicle types, meaning sedans, minivans, SUVs, pickup trucks, that possess features that make it easier or more challenging to install CRSs. Which vehicle types have the most overall use errors? Which vehicle types have features that are more difficult to use? And the goal is to provide real-world data to help guide manufacturer design decisions. Once the data analysis is done, Westat will develop a data visualization toolkit. This will enable timely updates to the data and allow users to easily access the results and all of their clean data. It will be linked to the existing website. Once in place, this toolkit will make it easy to generate data analysis. It will automatically generate print-ready tables and maps.
Yeah, and again, we've been on lockdown and closure. He too has been working from home, so he should understand how things are.
All user privileges and data access will be inherited from the NDCF website. So, what have we found so far? My colleague, Elizabeth Petraglia, is the statistician for the NDCF team and had a separate presentation scheduled for Lifesavers. However, given the cancellation, that session was also turned into a webinar, and you can use the link above to see her full presentation with many more details. In the next few slides, I'm just going to provide you some of the highlights. For this initial analysis, we're looking at year 1 data, as we've named it, and we started with August 1st, 2018, when the NDCF was rolled out, and picked a cutoff date of September 30th, 2019. So for year 1, there were over 13,000 records, with each record representing a child or a car seat, and a little over 11,000 vehicles were checked. The vast majority of the checks were done for infants, so children under the age of 1 or unborn children, and the most popular type of seat was the rear-facing only seat. Now let's look at the kinds of misuse we are seeing in the data. Overall, we see that harnesses are misused in about 19% of the applicable car seats. So the most common harness error was a harness that was too loose, followed by the harness routed through the wrong slot, and the chest clip being at the wrong height. When a seatbelt was used for installation, the misuse rate was nearly 60%. The common error, again, was having too loose, the belt was too loose, followed by unlocked retractors, and then use in conjunction with lower anchors. The lower anchor misuse rate was 44.8%. There's a theme here again. The most common error was having the lower anchors too loose, followed by use with the seatbelt. And the third most common misuse was incorrect use of the vehicle anchors, which includes borrowing lower anchors from the other seating positions. By the end of the summer, we'll complete our analysis and be able to provide more details on misuse, program coverage, and answers to all the research questions I mentioned. So due to budget limitations, this initial analysis does not fully leverage the wealth of information that could be derived from the data set. This first year's work will serve as a baseline on which more sophisticated analysis can be built. There are almost endless possibilities to the different types of analysis that can be conducted. The NDCF dataset is incredibly rich with over 93 different pieces of information collected about each car seat. The Westat will work closely with all the stakeholders to consider, discuss, prioritize, and plan new analysis. In future years, the analysis can be more layered and offer more detailed insights. This first year, we'll look at everything at this top level. We'll produce national level estimates, which report on misuse among types of car seats and vehicles. We'll answer all the research questions and provide a new and comprehensive picture of current program coverage and effectiveness. CRS features which reduce or increase misuse, vehicle features which reduce or increase misuse, and solid data to use as the basis for adjusting educational messaging to address these identified issues. In subsequent years, we could drill down to regional, state, and local agency level, but also look at these types of topics across years to identify trends of improvement or areas of regression. We will report on misuse as it relates to specific CRS makes, models, and features, and the same will be done for vehicle makes, models, and features. The level of detail provided in the NDCF offers new opportunities to more fully evaluate car seats and vehicles, to more precisely identify issues so that solutions can be effectively developed. Constant improvement and evolution is a critical part of a successful data collection program. Work is already underway to make improvements to the app based on the user feedback. We're currently working to compile all of the suggestions into a customized issue tracking system. The system will be continually updated to reflect improvements which have been made, as well as new ideas. We are also looking for feedback from you. We've emailed a link, or we'll be emailing a link right after this presentation, so that you can answer a quick questionnaire about your impressions of the NDCF and what we can do to help encourage you to use it. Like all applications, improving and enhancing the NDCF is a very iterative process. It starts with collecting data. We use it at C-Chicks, and we see what works and what could be better. Then we gather feedback. That feedback will come from all users, from technicians to state coordinators to car seat manufacturers to automakers and the NDCF team. Then the team reviews every suggestion and develops an effective solution to address it. Next, the programmers under Joe at Tennessee Tech will implement the solution. As Joe noted, we'll periodically deploy new updates to the NDCF. Then we start over with collecting more data, testing out the improvements, and gathering more feedback. So on one of my first slides, I had all of the logos for all the members of the NDCF team. Oh, can you go back one slide, please? There you go. I had all the logos for all the members of the NDCF team. But there's another important member of the team, and that is all of the techs that use the NDCF. The technicians out in the field collecting data and working with families every day. We sincerely hope that you'll join the team and start working with the NDCF. Techs like you are the front line collecting data. And with everyone's help, we can make the NDCF and its data better. If you decide to join the team, we hope you remember a few things. Obviously, the first priority is to help families you're working with each day. The next priority is to properly document what is happening with those families. The analysis of the NDCF is only as good as the data that is put into it. It is essential we collect data and answer the questions as accurately as possible. We know this can be challenging while working with families and children in and around cars, but please take your time to carefully select your responses to each question. If there's time, go back and review the form to make sure everything is entered correctly. Everyone must answer the same question in the same way because the analysis plan depends on it. Be sure to review all of the NDCF resources so you know exactly how to answer each question. The entire NDCF team is very happy with the excellent start to this program. Just looking at the year one data, we have a robust data set with good representation of different states, vehicle makes, car seat makes, and children of different ages. And it's just going to keep getting better as more and more techs collect more and more data and we continue to improve the form. Thank you so much for your interest and support of the NDCF, and thank you for your time today. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to contact me. And now back to Jennifer.
Thank you, Adele. Up next, we have Sarah Haverstick, and I'm going to give her a chance to get her presentation pulled up. While she's doing that, I'll go ahead and read her introduction. Sarah Haferstick serves as safety advocate for Good Baby International, which includes the Evenflow, Cybex, GB, and Urbini car seat brands. Sarah is currently celebrating her 12th year in child passenger safety, and she is certified as a child passenger safety technician instructor and an instructor in the safe transportation of children with special health care needs. She has held positions on numerous local, state, and national boards related to injury prevention and is a former chair of the National Child Passenger Safety Board. Sarah received her bachelor's in political science from Rutgers University. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm so happy to be here today. This is one of my favorite projects to talk about. And so today I'm here to give you the perspective of a car seat manufacturer. So you heard from Adele all the really fabulous ways we're going to be able to use this data. So I wanted to give you an idea of how it's already being used for our company. So first, we plan to use this, and we are using this the same way that you all would be using it, which is out in the field with our technicians. We currently have over 50 car seat technicians, and our company is a little bit unique in that we have multiple headquarter locations. So our techs are spread out across multiple different states in 3 main offices at our factory in Piqua, Ohio, as well as remote offices across the country. So as you can imagine, as me, the person responsible for all of these technicians, it can get to be a little crazy when one office wants to do one thing and somebody wants to check a car seat over in another office, trying to find the paperwork. This digital tool really gives us the opportunity to make sure every technician understands exactly what resource they're going to be using, and they have it right there. They don't even need to email me. They understand how to use it, and it's available at their fingertips. So that's pretty exciting for us. But the really exciting part is the data, and this is where things get really interesting. First, I came from a nonprofit, from a children's hospital before I started working for Good Baby, so I was used to collecting all kinds of output level data and sharing with all of our grant funders all of the work that we were doing out in the field, much like you all do on a regular basis. In my current role, I don't really need to do that. So we've done tons of car seat checks with our team since I've been with the company, and we don't track it at all. We don't share the information. We don't really do much with it. So now with the digital check form, I'm able to take that internal team data, and now I can share it with our leadership team in a really easy to digest format so they can see exactly what we're doing, and we can get more support, hopefully, for the work that we're doing within our communities. So that part's exciting. But the really exciting part is the manufacturer level data that we have access to. So that's what I want to take you through, so you can really see how the data and how the inputs that you are providing can really help to benefit the field of child passenger safety. So this is what we see. When we go to generate a report, I can generate a manufacturer level report. So this is a reporting feature that is specific to all of the car seat or vehicle manufacturers. And that comes in a really big spreadsheet. So this is just one small little snapshot of this spreadsheet, but it comes in a very large spreadsheet. I'll say the data that I'm going to share today, I pulled back in December because, as Adele noted, there's a fair amount of cleaning that needed to take place. And you saw all the different spellings of the word Chevrolet. So I went through myself and cleaned up all of our data, cleaned up all of those misspellings, and that takes a little bit of time. So I did that back in December in order to prepare for March presentations. And then really, I will say at the very beginning, I have no background in statistical analysis. So I would classify myself even lower than Adele. I'm very, very novice at this. But once I cleaned the data, we were able to run some of our own little statistical analyses, not using any statistical software, just running through Excel to see what we could figure out with our information as a start. So here's some of what we learned, starting with the really good stuff. Less than 1% of the Evenflow car seats that showed up at a car seat check were recalled. I feel like that's a huge one that we should all celebrate, that clearly that recall message is getting out there. There were very few recalled seats that showed up, so yay for us. 6% of our car seats were expired. I think that's another really big win, that we're getting those messages as technicians and as educators out to the field that recalled car seats, expired car seats, all of these seats need not be used. So I think that was a really positive thing to see. Again, this is specific to even flow data. 11% of our car seats were not facing the correct direction. If you're not aware, and if you don't use even flow product frequently, we actually have a 2-year age minimum for all of our seats in forward-facing harness mode. So the fact that this number was only 11%, I thought was a really big win, that either consumers are looking at that information and actually paying attention to what's being posted in our product instructions and on our labels, or we as a field are doing a really great job educating about keeping those kids rear facing longer, because we're seeing fewer of our seats being misused in the wrong direction. Now this is where it starts to maybe not be as great. And these are numbers that we're all pretty familiar with because we see this as a trend across the field. Only 38% of our forward-facing car seats were using the tether. We know tethering is an area where we need to spend a lot more time providing education to consumers. We've changed the color of our tether to make it more visible on our product. That really only happened within the last couple of years. So I'm anxious to, as we continue to collect this data, look and see if that seems to make any difference. But we know that tether education and tether use really needs to be top of mind and a big education point. And then 50% of our car seats included some kind of error with harnessing. There was an awful lot of harnessing error across everything that we looked at. Really more harnessing error than there were for lower anchor or seatbelt installation errors. So that was a really interesting one for me to look at, and I wanted to look at it a little bit closer. So our top 3 harnessing errors, and this was across all of our even flow harness product, was number 1, too loose. Really being too loose was the error for everything. It was the number 1 error for lower anchor installation, for seatbelt installation, and for harnessing. If we can help families understand what snug means, I think we'd be in a really good place. The second misuse was retainer clip being in the wrong position. And then the third one was twisted. And the twisted one is one that we can really potentially do something about. That's one that we plan to track to see which of our products seem to come up with twisted harness as more of a misuse. And then when we look at that information, there's potential to change maybe the harness webbing that we're using or the design of that harness system. So that one's going to be interesting for us to look at moving forward. And as I mentioned, I mean, it was really interesting to me that so many of our car seats had a harnessing error. It was nearly 2 errors in harnessing per car seat. So with this form, if you have not used it yet, you can select more than 1 misuse. So if you say that that harness was installed or was used incorrectly, you can cite multiple reasons why that harness was misused. And in this case, for our even flow seats, it was nearly 2 errors per car seat. Another thing that we like to look at is what vehicle are our consumers driving and what model year are those vehicles, so that we have a better idea when we're developing and designing new product, what is our consumer driving and what should we be testing our products in. So this was vehicles by model year. In 2019, there's research to show that the average age of light vehicles in operation in the United States is nearly 12 years. So that puts you roughly at the 2008 model year. So you can see kind of what our distribution looked like across even flow products. So that's just an interesting thing that we like to look at as a team as we're trying to make those decisions. We can't possibly test every one of our car seats and every vehicle that exists out there. So this helps to give us an idea of which vehicles and which class of vehicles should we really be focusing on. The other really exciting piece that we can do is pull an aggregate report. So the aggregate report gives us all the same detail except for the car seat make and model information. So this takes all of the car seats that have been submitted through these forms and just strips out that make and model information. So that means I can look at my even flow level data and then I can compare it across all of the car seats that have come through. I won't know, if it's a Graco car seat that has a specific misuse or a Britax car seat with a specific misuse. I can only see that level of detail with my car seats. But then I can look across the board. Are we seeing an issue with one of our rear-facing convertibles? Is that common to all rear-facing convertibles, or is that specific just to one of our seats? So that's useful for us to look at. And Adele already mentioned this, but one of the first things that I looked at when I started looking at the aggregate report was what was the breakdown of the types of seats that were submitted. And by far, and my data set is a little bit different, the date range that I was using is a little different than what Adele was looking at, but we found it was 48% were rear-facing onlys. So we saw the exact same thing. Our even flow data actually showed 49% of our car seat check forms were rear-facing only. So that's definitely overrepresented in the data, but really not surprising, because think about who comes to see us. We see all of the first-time parents that are trying to get ready for that baby to show up in another couple of weeks. So that wasn't entirely surprising to see. But I was really interested in all the harnessing misuses. Since we saw so much misuse on our end, I wanted to see what were those misuses, and I broke them down by product type. So Adele showed, across the board what they were. So rear-facing only, too loose, harness slot in the wrong place, retainer clip in the wrong place. So frequently the same misuses. Convertibles, harness slot still in the wrong place, retainer clip still in the wrong place. Forward-facing with a harness, this is where it was a little bit different. Again, too loose, but now twisted harnesses are more prevalent, and the retainer clip being in the wrong place was again up there. So that harness slot being in the wrong spot didn't come up as frequently with the forward-facing harness seats. But this just gives you a peek at the level of information that we can look at. I am so excited about what Adele's team is going to do with this data. I think it'll make it even better for us as manufacturers, the information that we can look at and the ease with which we'll be able to look at it in the future. It's pretty exciting stuff. So then to echo a little bit of what Adele said, my key takeaways as both a user of the form and then a user of, attempting to use statistical analysis in the data set is, number one, to take your time. I know it's busy. I've been there with you in the parking lot. Things get really crazy really fast, but the data is only as good as what you can input. So really take your time with each family and take your time filling out that form. And if you've never used it before, practice a few times first. So that way you're really comfortable with the information that you're collecting. The accuracy is really important. If you're not sure what the model of the car seat is, if you're working with another technician or an instructor, have them come over and help give you a second set of eyes to look at that to make sure the information is correct. And then be really specific. There's some open text fields for the other categories where you can provide more information. And I literally look through all of them. It's interesting to me to look and see what is that information, what was the misuse, and what additional detail is there for us to review. So that's helpful as we're looking at it and doing that analysis for our product. So this is my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have as you start using the form, but good luck and thank you for everything that you do out in the field.
Jennifer, it looks like you've muted yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, and can you see my screen? Let me jump back over here. Okay, are you able to see my screen now?
It's coming. I think you
Okay.
can. Yes, now.
Okay, I will start over. All right. Jennifer Pelkey is a senior engineer for the Interior Safety Crashworthiness Group at Toyota Motor North America Research and Development. Ms. Pelkey earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Michigan and joined Toyota in 2008 as an evaluation engineer in vehicle safety, responsible for seat safety and airbag reliability. Her passion for child passenger safety came with motherhood, and she became a certified child passenger safety technician in 2012 after struggling as a crash safety engineer, no less, to choose and properly install a car seat for her son. Additionally, Ms. Pelkey is a member of the National Child Passenger Safety Board, serves on the Society of Automotive Engineers Children's Restraint Systems Committee, and the Safe Kids Children of Autonomous Vehicles Consortium, and has served as a national spokesperson for Buckle Up for Life. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. My screen has had a little bit of a lag here, so we'll hope for the best with advancing the slides, and thank you for advancing them for me. So,
Sure.
good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to share some information from the automotive manufacturer's perspective for you. As Jennifer said, I am an engineer in safety and crashworthiness at Toyota, and wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we and other manufacturers can do with this great resource. As you've heard already, the NDCF is a great manufacturer resource. All the data is available free of charge. We can get our own data as well as the results from the entire field, which is really fantastic. You know, you heard Sarah talk about how excited she was to have data. Well, let me tell you, as an engineer, I am super excited to have access to lots of data. So what kind of things can we study? So many manufacturers, such as Toyota, practice continuous improvement through what's called the PDCA, or Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. So in the plan phase, we identify the problem, collect relevant data, try to understand the problem's root cause, and then develop a hypothesis about what the issues may be and decide which one to test. In the do phase, we actually develop and implement a solution. So make some sort of design change, for example, and we want to test that potential solution, measure the results. So that's where the check phase comes in, where we confirm the results through before and after data comparison. We study the result, we measure effectiveness, and decide whether or not what we did addressed the problem. And then finally, in the act phase, we look at the results, document them, and then feed the information into the next plan phase. So the NCDF can be used in both the plan and the check phases, both study issues as well as understand the effectiveness of our changes or countermeasures. So what are some things that we can look at using this type of data? So unfortunately, we haven't been able to dig into the results so far the way that Westat and Sarah has been able to, but some types of things we want to look at are vehicle design changes that were specifically made with installing child seats in mind. So for example, looking here at the pre-2018 Camry and the 2018 Camry, you can see that in the seat bite area, we made a big change to the lower anchors. So prior to 2018, the anchors were kind of not visible back in the bite. And then in 2018, we actually opened that area up and then added these little plastic caps. So you just pop the cap out and then you're able to access the lower anchor. The one thing we want to look at is how is this affecting things such as misuse of the lower anchors, or maybe rates of lower anchor use versus seatbelt use when it's still appropriate to use the lower anchors. You know, how is this affecting our customers, or is it really not making a difference? Next slide, please. So something else we would like to look at is Toyota Tundra. So pickup trucks, right? No one is excited when a pickup truck rolls into their check event, especially if there's a forward-facing car seat in it, because you have to figure out where the tether anchor is in the vehicle. So back in 2016, we added this bright yellow label to our tether anchor and rerouting loop. So you tried to make it more visible and the routing more intuitive. So you can see from the label, we actually just printed the routing instructions right on the label that's on the tether anchor loop to try to make it easier for customers to figure out how that routing is supposed to go, even if they don't bother to pull out the owner's manual. Next slide, please. I'm looking at a vehicle like the Prius. So in 2015, it looked a lot similar to that earlier Camry, where we have the lower anchors in the seat bite, not really visible. They're marked at the buttons, but you definitely have to reach inside to see where those anchors are. In 2016, we switched that up. So we added this flap over the seat bite area. And when you open up that flap and Velcro it open, there are two kind of giant openings in which the lower anchors reside. So our thought here was that once parents open that flap up, it's super easy to attach the lower anchors. So similar to the Camry, we want to look at what does the misuse rate for lower anchors look like before and after this change? Is it actually making it easier for customers? Are they choosing the lower anchors over the seatbelt? Or again, is it something that's not really making a difference? Next slide, please. The one thing about the digital check form data that I'm really excited about as a manufacturer is we can look at where parents with multiple car seats are seating their children in the vehicles. So when you look at the check form data, there's a check form ID that goes along for all of the seats in the same check in the same vehicle. So for example, I can see that these 3 Sienna seats, or 3 Sienna entries, are all the same vehicle, and we have a child seat behind the driver, behind the passenger, and then one in the 3rd row middle. So this is really exciting for me because I can try to understand why parents are choosing to put different seats where they are. It's not surprising to have the older child in the back. However, the middle of the seat is interesting to me because it would seem like it might be more of a visibility issue, but then again, it is further away in a side impact, as we all know. So how are parents choosing to place their children, and are they in the same place on arrival versus exit? We can also look at the ages and types of car seats that are in the different vehicle seating positions, whether they're choosing the latch versus the seatbelt. One thing that's also really exciting for me is how many vehicles come in with that 3 across situation. This is something that comes up to me when I'm working with designers, is considering 3 across. And the question that always comes back is, well, how many seats and how many vehicles really have this 3 across situation? And I know, I can tell them, well, personally, I haven't gone to a seat check where at some point during the event, a vehicle with 3 car seats across hasn't come in. But unfortunately, that anecdotal data doesn't sell my story. So I'm really excited now to be able to put a number to that and say, hey, X% of checks have this 3 across condition. Another thing we can use this data for is considering where our latch hardware is and if it's currently where it needs to be and if we need to change that situation. Next slide, please. So then misuse trends, of course, that's one of the big things we want to look at. How do our vehicles compare to the industry as a whole? Do we have misuse that's more common or less common with certain models or designs? And what kinds of misuse trends and modes do we have that might be different than we expect? I know previously I saw some data from Good Baby where they had a higher percentage of seats using the lower anchors and seatbelt together than they expected. So data like this can help us try to bring these misuse rates down. And next slide. So in summary, the NDCF is a great free tool which gives us a lot bigger ability to study usage of our products in the field. We can use it to study our own products as well as the industry trends. And in addition to subjects like misuse, we can get a better understanding of how our customers are using their vehicles by looking at where and how many child restraints are in a given vehicle. And finally, it gives us a better understanding of current performance that can help guide the continuous improvement process. Last slide. And with that, I thank you very much. I really encourage you to use the forum. The more data, the better. And we're super excited to see what we can learn from this project. Thank you again.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, we have one final presentation. And our next presenter is Angela Knutson. Angela is on the Community Impact team at AAA and oversees a CPS program that has 140 technicians across 7 states: Northern California, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Alaska, Montana, and Arizona. Together, they complete thousands of inspections every year. And in 2019, they completed just over 6,000 inspections. Prior to joining AAA, Angela worked with the Health Equity for a decade, mainly in the field of HIV. Welcome, Angela.
Hi, can everyone hear me okay?
We sure can.
Great, and what about my slides?
Yep, I can see them, thank you.
Oh my gosh, wins, wonderful. Well, hi everyone. So great to talk to you. As Jennifer mentioned, I'm from AAA Northern California, and we're excited to share how we have scaled the National Digital Check Form. So I'm on our Community Impact team, and I oversee a program of 140 technicians across our 7 states. And together we complete thousands of inspections every year. And we have been supporters of the National Digital Check Form since 2017. And we're so happy to share how we've implemented this so far and share some lessons we've learned along the way too. So I want to share a bit about who our technicians are. Our 140 technicians are AAA employees. Anyone can become a technician. And this is something they volunteer to do in addition to their regular role at our AAA location. So we offer this service for free to AAA members and non-members. Anyone can take advantage of this service. And last year we did a little more than 6,000 inspections. So we're really happy to start to put these inspections in the digital check form database. So I want to start a bit about what our 2019 process looked like for our car seat inspections, which is probably no different than what you all are doing already. So we would, of course, print our paper check form. We'd conduct the inspection. Our techs would report this inspection through the Google form, which I, as the program lead, would have access to. They would scan the paper check form into the Google folder. They would have to secure shred that, and then I would also have to go through and make sure that we had everything accounted for. So definitely a lot of work that was involved. So our 2020 process, we actually started using, requiring the use of the digital check form starting January 1st of this year. And as you can see, it really simplified our process. So we actually are leveraging the power of the app. So all of our technicians will log into the app. They will conduct their inspection using the National Digital Check Form app, and of course, selecting the AAA liability statement. And then once they're connected back to Wi-Fi at their AAA branch, they will submit their inspection check form. So this has really saved, we're estimating around 20 minutes per inspection. So my presentation today will focus really on our 2020 process and how we got there. So a little bit about our tablets. So we want to share that these are tablets that are repurposed technology. There is no data connection. So these are Wi-Fi enabled only. And also to really assist our techs in making this as user-friendly as possible, we actually preloaded the app on the tablets before sending it to them. Our implementation timelines, I will say 2019 was really about me focusing on how to align with our key business partners. So this would include our branch operations. So these are the executives who oversee everything that happens at our AAA locations. I aligned with them to really show why we wanted to scale the digital check form. We showed the time saved that would lead to that time that really could be an employee doing something else related to their core job responsibilities. So in that same vein, we connected with the finance team to show what kind of dollar savings would we have on this time saved. I checked in with our IT and our cybersecurity team, legal, our learning and development, and all that's to say of this extensive list of business partners is that everyone saw the scale of the digital check form as a win. There were no notable issues. So I was really happy to have all of our key business partners on board. So starting in November, December of last year, we started to train all of our technicians on the digital check form. So we mailed everyone a how-to guide and an FAQ. So this was a resource from the National Safety Council that I took and adapted really to make it as user-friendly, or rather adapted it so it made sense to the audience. So our technicians don't need to know certain things, so we didn't want to or inundate them with information that wasn't applicable to how they would, do inspections at the branch. We, of course, sent them their tablet and instructions to create a digital check form account. We had 5 virtual trainings that were offered. We required them to participate in one of them. During those trainings, we introduced the digital check form. We outlined the change in the inspection process. We conducted a mock inspection with everyone. So, of course, we were in training mode, and we wanted people to get really familiar with the flow of questions. I shared resources that were available, gave them some insight into the power of the data, and of course we had some Q&A. So starting January 1st, the digital check form was required, and since that time we've been making sure that we have some ongoing support and training. So we have an internal site for our company, and so we certainly house a lot of resources on that page. We took NSC's existing training videos from YouTube and made those available. Of course, a recorded virtual training. I started to see some questions that were coming up from our own technicians, so I did a quick 15-minute mock inspection on my iPhone to show the AAA way of the inspection, and of course, made myself available by phone and email to our technicians to, make sure I was there as they were, taking on this change within the company. So, snapshot of lessons learned. We've had some, I will say, it's been met with a lot of excitement at our locations, and some things that we but just things to be mindful of is I wish I gave a little more clarity that Wi-Fi or a data connection is not needed in the field to do the inspection. So of course they log into the digital check form, they do the inspection, and then when they get back to their AAA questions that came up there. So still working to provide some clarity on that, really emphasizing that there's certainly a lot of organizations involved and have liability statements already preloaded into the digital check form. So really being clear about which check form to select. The other piece that lessons learned, something that we are making sure we do is report back this really exciting data that's coming out to really share it back with our technicians so they know and recognize the change that they're contributing to and why participating in this matters. So they're, in addition to helping their individual families every day, they're also really contributing to a larger structural change. That's all for me. I tried to skip through that to recognize we're a little short on time. Here's my email, so please feel free to email me. Happy to share some lessons learned or best practices. So thank you.
Thank you, Angela. We did have one question. We have one of our attendees asking if you would be willing to share your how-to guide.
That's a great question. Jennifer, if you can flag whose name that is, I can certainly connect with them. I took the National Safety Council guide that's already posted on the National CPS Board website and adapted it. So yeah, I'm happy to connect offline.
Wonderful, thank you. And I know that we do have some other folks that have just joined us, and what we would like to do is just finish up this presentation. And then we'll move right into our next presentation. So just to kind of recap what Adele had mentioned earlier, following the webinar, we will send you a link to the NDCF survey. We'd like to encourage each of you to provide your feedback. And this survey helps us to do a better job understanding the needs of the technicians in the field. The feedback that we receive is valuable to the growth and the development of this resource, so we encourage all of you to contribute to that, and just so that we can make sure that we're creating a resource that's effective, easy to use, and meets the needs of your program. And finally, I wanted to share with you some of our additional resources that we have available. If you've not had an opportunity to create an account, we encourage you to go to our website at carseatcheckform.org. On the National Child Passenger Safety Board website, we have a wealth of information and resources available to you as well. We have tutorial videos. If you need technical support, you can contact Joe at his email, info@carseatcheckform.org. And if you need any training or field support, please feel free to reach out to me at training@carseatcheckform.org. So again, we'll be sending you a follow-up email with an evaluation, as well as some additional resources and more information about the tablets. So those of you who have been with us for a little over an hour now, we appreciate your time and participating in the webinar. We will begin our next webinar in just a couple of minutes. So if you can give us a minute to just kind of regroup, we will be sharing much of the same information. You're welcome to stay on the line if you'd like